Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta, Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha, Shunyavadi Pashanti Deshatari. Narayanam Namaskritya, Naram Cheva Narottamam, Deve Saraswatim Vyasam, Tato Jayam Mudire. Hare Krishna. So we continue to discuss from the 7th chapter of the 2nd canto, entitled The Scheduled Incarnations and Their Specific Functions. Last session we discussed Dhanvantri, Parshuram, and also we began on Lord Ram. So we'll continue. We discussed this verse 23rd to some extent. Due to his causeless mercy upon all living entities within the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with his plenary extensions, appeared in the family of Maharaj Ikshvaku as the Lord of his internal potency, Sita, under the order of his father, Maharaj Dashrath. He entered the forest and lived there for a considerable years with his wife and younger brothers. Ravan, who was very materially powerful, with 10 heads on his shoulders, committed a great offense against him and was thus ultimately vanquished. Full encapsulation of Ramayana in one verse. So we discussed this verse. Ramchandra is full incarnation with six opulences in full, and he is therefore mentioned in this verse as Kaleshaha. It will be Kalaesha. Kalaesha. Isha means the master, and Kala means the opulences. Yasmadaduder udha bhagyango vepu mrigam sapadya aripuram haravadidikshaho dure sruhen mahitaro sasushno drishtaya tatapaimana makaroragan nakrachakraha. The personality of Godhead Ramchandra, being aggrieved for his distant intimate friend Sita, glanced over the city of the enemy Ravan with red hot eyes like those of Hara. Hara is Shiva, who wanted to burn the kingdom of heaven. The great ocean, trembling in fear, gave him his way because its family members, the aquatics like the sharks, snakes, and crocodiles, were being burnt by the heat of the angry red hot eyes of the Lord. So when Lord Ram wanted to cross the ocean, he could have easily done that by using the prowess of his arrow. He would have soaked all the water of the ocean. But in spite of that, in spite of having all ability and all such prowess, Lord Ram took a humble position. He prayed to the demigod Varun for 3 days to grant him a corridor so that the Lord and his Sena, and his army, can cross the ocean. But as you know, when we are begging, when we are asking, normally people consider us weak. So Varun Dev, he did not give much attention. And when 3 days were over, Lord Ram became outrageous. And with his rage, with his anger, everything was burning. Even the animals which were inside the sea, they were feeling the heat and they were feeling the suffocation. So Varun had to surrender. He had to give up his pride. The personality of Godhead has every sentiment of a sentient being. Very important, Prabhupada is saying. Personality of Godhead has every sentiment of a sentient being, like all other living beings, because he is the chief and original living entity, the supreme source of all other living beings. He is the Nitya or the chief eternal amongst all the eternals. He is the chief one, Nityo Nityanam, Chetanas Chetananam, Eko Bahunam, Yo Vidadhati Kama. And he is the chief one, and all others are dependent many. The many eternals are supported by one eternal, and thus both the eternals are qualitatively one. Due to such oneness, both the eternals constitutionally have a complete range of sentiments. But the difference is that the sentiments of the chief eternal are different in quantity from the sentiments of the dependent eternals. When Ramchandra was angry, he showed his red hot eyes. The whole ocean became heated with that energy. So much so that the aquatics within the great ocean felt the heat. And the personified ocean trembled in fear and offered the Lord an easy path for reaching the enemy city. The impersonalists will see havoc in this red hot sentiment of the Lord because they want to see negation in perfection. Because the Lord is absolute, the impersonalists imagine that the absolute, the sentiment of anger, which resembles a mundane sentiment, must be conspicuous by its absence. Please hear very attentively. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, they do not realize that every sentiment of the absolute truth is transcendental to all mundane concepts of quality and quantity. Lord Ramchandra's sentiment, being of mundane origin, how could it disturb the whole ocean and its inhabitants? Can any mundane red hot eye generate heat in the great ocean? These are factors to be distinguished in terms of the personal and impersonal conceptions of the absolute truth. As it is said in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the absolute truth is the source of everything. So the absolute truth cannot be devoid of the sentiments that are reflected in the temporary mundane world. Rather, the different sentiments found in the absolute, either in angry or in mercy, have the same qualitative influence. Or in other words, there is no mundane difference of value because the sentiments are all on the absolute plane. Such sentiments are definitely not absent in the absolute, as the impersonalists think, making their mundane estimation of the transcendental world. What was the poem Srila Prabhupada wrote? On the appearance day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Surya Thakur. Which Srila Bhaktivinoda Surya Thakur, when he read, he was very, very pleased. He was mighty pleased. Anyone knows the poem? You should be reading all these books, all this. Ajay Prabhupada's heartfelt offering to his spiritual master. Adore, adore ye all. The happy day. The happy day when the divine grace appeared. There Srila Prabhupada writes this paragraph, that absolute is sentient. Thou hast proved. Impersonal calamity, thou hast removed. So he is glorifying Srila Bhaktivedanta Surya Thakur. That absolute is sentient. Sentient means a person with sentiments, with feelings, with emotions. You should never think that the Supreme Lord is not there. He's there. So how we have to deal with him? As a sentient person. Sentient person means that we are dealing with other persons. On a personal basis. So Lord Ramchandra also showed the emotions. Emotion of anger. When he was furiously angry, he was angry on Ravana. So Prabhupada is focusing this purport on this aspect. That since he is the source of everything, he cannot be devoid of sentiments. That is why it is Krishna, Bhavana Mrit. What is most important is the Bhavana, the consciousness. Vakshasthala sparsha rugna mahendra vaha danter vidambita kukubjasa udhasan sadhya subhi saha vineshyanti dharaharto विस्फुर्जिता विस्फुजिते धनुषा उच्चारतो अधिसन्ने. When Raman was engaged in the battle, the tusk of the elephant which carried the king of heaven, Indra, broke into pieces, having collided with the chest of Ravan. This is talking about the power of Ravan. King Indra's elephant, Ravat, he collided with the chest of Ravan and his trunk was broken. And the scattered broken parts illuminated all directions. Ravan therefore felt proud of his prowess and began to loiter in the midst of the fighting soldiers, thinking himself the conqueror of all directions. But his daughter, overtaken by joy, along with his very air of life, suddenly ceased with the twanging sound of the bow of Ramchandra, the personality of Godhead. However powerful a living being may be, when he is condemned by God, no one can save him. Similarly, however weak one may be, if he is protected by the Lord, no one can annihilate him. What is the verse? The principle which is given in this verse, which is quoted here by Srila Prabhupada. What is the principle? What is mentioned in the purport? बोलिए. Yes, Ramya.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी. प्रभु जी, रखे कृष्णा मारे के, मारे कृष्ण रखे के.
Correct. Perfect. Yes. When the Lord is protecting, no one can harm. And when the Lord wants to punish, then no one can save. Very good. One more. भूमे सुरेत्र वरुथा विमर्दितया क्लेशो व्ययया कायया सीत कृष्ण केशः जाता करिष्यति जनानुकूलक्षये मृगा मार्गः कर्माणि चात्मा महिमो पानी अभिनंदनी. When the world is overburdened by the fighting strength of kings who have no faith in God, the Lord just has to diminish the distance of the world. Descend with his planetary portion. The Lord comes in his original form with beautiful black hairs, and just to expand his tabernacle glories, He acts extraordinary. No one can properly estimate how great he is. This verse is especially describing the appearance of Lord Krishna and his immediate expansions, Lord Baldev. Both Lord Krishna and Lord Baldev are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord is omnipotent and he expands himself in innumerable forms and energies. And the whole unit is known as the Supreme Brahman. Such extensions of the Lord are divided into two divisions, namely personal and differential. The personal expansions are called the Vishnu Tattva, and the differential expansions are called the Jeev Tattva. And in such expansion activity, Lord Baldev is the first personal expansion of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Vishnu Puran as well as the Mahabharata, both Krishna and Baldev are mentioned as having beautiful black hair. Even in their advanced age, the Lord is called Anupalakshaya Margaha, Anupalakshaya Marga, or is still more technical Vedic terms, Avan Mansa Gochara, one who is never to be born or realized by his limited sense perception of the people in general. In the Bhagavad Gita 7:25, it is said by the Lord, Naham Prakashasya Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavrita. In other words, he reverses the right. He reserves the right of not being exposed to anyone and everyone. Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yogamaya Samavrita. He reserves the right of not being exposed to anyone and everyone. Only the bona fide devotees can know him by his specific symptoms. And out of many, many such symptoms, one symptom is mentioned here in this verse, that the Lord is Sita Krishna Keshaha. On head, their head, and even in such advanced age, they appeared like young boys 16 years old. That is the particular symptom of personality of Godhead. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that although he is the oldest body, the material body is symptomized by birth, death, old age, and disease. But the spiritual body is conspicuous by the absence of those symptoms. Living entities who reside in the Vaikuntha Lokas, in eternal life and bliss, have the same type of spiritual body without being affected by the signs of old age. It is described in the Bhagavatam, Canto 6, that the party of Vishnu Devatas who came to deliver Adamik from the It is described in the Bhagavad Gita, Canto 6, that the party of Vishnu Devatas who came to deliver Adamik from the clutches of the party of Vishnu Devatas appeared like youthful boys, corroborating the description in this verse. It is ascertained that the spiritual bodies in the Vaikuntha Lokas, either of the Lord and the other inhabitants, are completely distant from the material bodies of this world. Therefore, when the Lord descends from that world to this world, he descends in his spiritual body of Atma Maya or internal body, without any touch of the Bahiranga Maya or external material. The allegation that the impersonal Brahman appears in this material world by accepting a material body is quite absurd. Therefore, the Lord, when he comes here, has not a material body, but spiritual body. The impersonal Brahma Jyoti is only the glaring effulgence of the body of the Lord, and there is no difference in quality between the body of the Lord and the personal ray of the Lord called Brahma Jyoti. Now the question is why the Lord, who is omnipotent, comes here to diminish the burden created upon the world by the unscrupulous kingly order. Certainly, the Lord does not need to come here personally for such purposes, but he actually descends to exhibit his transcendental activities in order to encourage his pure devotees who want to enjoy life by chanting the glories of the Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam 9, 13 and 14, it is stated that the Mahatmas, great devotees of the Lord, take pleasure in chanting the activities of the Lord. All Vedic literature are meant for turning attention towards the Lord and his transcendental activities. Thus, the activities of the Lord in his dealings with worldly people create a subject matter for discussion of his pure devotees. Hare Krishna, I am pausing here, not taking it further. There should be some discussion actually. Without discussion, there will not be any impact in our consciousness. It will remain, uninfluenced. From 27th verse, there will be a new section, which we will try and take tomorrow. Who is to present the sixth chapter? Sonika, you or Purushottam?
Pro, I have to present, but pro tomorrow, actually, I'm not able to prepare. So, can I present on Monday?
Because आपने प्रिपेयर किया नहीं ना, पिछले 3 दिन में कहाँ प्रिपेयर? कल भी तो क्लास नहीं लिया मैंने. कल क्यों नहीं
कल
पूछा?
मैं प्रभु मैं कर रहा हूँ, बट एक्चुअली थोड़ा कम टाइम मिल पा रहा है.
तो कोई बात नहीं, ठीक है. आपको कौन सा करना है? 2.6 करना है, 2.7 करना है?
6 प्रभु.
6. तो 7 सोनिका प्रेजेंट करेगी. ठीक है, करिए. थोड़ा फोकस के साथ करेंगे तो हो जाएगा.
Yes, प्रभु.
हरे कृष्ण. हरे कृष्ण मोहा.
हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी.
हरे कृष्ण. आजकल क्या याद करें? याद हो गया जगन्नाथ अष्टकम? कितना याद किया?
बस 2 रह गए अभी.
वेरी गुड. केवल 2 रह गए, बाकी सब याद कर लिए?
हाँ.
सुनाओ. पहला पहला 2 वर्ष सुनाओ.
चित्तकादन्ते तट्टविपिन संगीत कराबो मुदा नारी वदन कमलास्वादमधुपा रमा शंभो ब्रह्मामल्पति रगनेशा चित पादो जगन्नाथ स्वामी न पथगामी भवतु में भुजे सव्यवैनं सरसिकिपिक्षं कटितटे कुममेत्रन्ते सरिचरिकटाक्षं विदते सदाश्रीमद्वृन्दावन वसति लीला परिचयो जगन्नाथ स्वामिन ज्ञानपथगामी भवतु मे
लेकिन ये आप इनको ना उसमें सिंग कराओ ना, जो ट्यून है ना उसी ट्यून में सिखाओ. पुरुषोत्तम प्रभु,
यस यस प्रभु.
जिस ट्यून में ये रिसाइटेशन होता है उसी ट्यून में उसी हिसाब से उसका वो ब्रेक भी लगाओ. जो वर्ड्स हैं, कितने वर्ड्स एक साथ प्रोनाउंस करने हैं उसी ट्यून में रखिए. ज्यादा नहीं, बच्चा है. 2-3 वर्ड से ज्यादा एक साथ नहीं, लंबी लाइन नहीं खींचनी है. तो डिसाइड जो करेगी
ठीक है.
तो सुनाई भी देगा, क्लियर समझ में भी आएगा. बहुत अच्छा. जय हो होगा. बहुत बढ़िया. आप तो जीनियस हो. यू आर अ जीनियस. स्कूल में भी सुनाते हैं आप? स्कूल में क्या पढ़ाते हैं?
कलिंग करवाते हैं और पढ़ाते हैं.
कलरिंग कराते हैं. पढ़ाते क्या है? गीता पढ़ाते हैं?
एक्टिविटीज करवाते हैं.
क्या करवाते हैं?
एक्टिविटीज.
एक्टिविटीज. गीता नहीं पढ़ाते हैं? आपको पता है कि गीता पढ़ता है?
श्लोक का भी पढ़ाते हैं.
पढ़ाते हैं? बहुत अच्छा। आप याद करिए भगवत गीता, फर्स्ट चैप्टर हो गया?
हाँ।
नहीं, 25 25 हो गए।
25 हो गया, ठीक है। अच्छा, करते रहो, धीरे धीरे करते रहो। अभी हम आएंगे आपके पास नेक्स्ट मंथ, वृंदावन, सब लोग आएंगे, ठीक है? तब तक कंप्लीट कर लो, तब तक फर्स्ट चैप्टर कंप्लीट कर लो और जगन्नाथ अष्टकम भी कंप्लीट कर लो। ऑलमोस्ट है, पूरा 1 महीना है, 1 महीने में आप आराम से कर लो, ठीक है? थैंक यू वेरी मच। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंद।